Captain Jake Morrison walked slowly across the bridge of the USS Sovereign. The ship was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built before. 2 kilometers long and packed with the most advanced technology Earth could create. Jake stopped at the main viewing window and looked out at the stars. This was it. This was humanity's first real warship. 3 years ago, the Galactic Federation had finally agreed to let humans build one military ship. Just one. The alien races thought they were being generous. They had watched humans fight in the Outer Rim Wars and decided that maybe, just maybe, humans deserved a chance to protect themselves. But they were careful. Very careful. One ship was all they would allow. Jake turned around and looked at his crew. These people had worked day and night to make this dream real. Chief Engineer Lisa Parker stood at her station, checking the quantum drive systems one more time. She had spent 3 years of her life making sure the ship could do things that should be impossible. The drive could punch through space barriers that other alien races said could not be broken. Lisa looked up from her controls and smiled at Jake. Captain, all systems are running perfectly. The quantum drive is ready for anything. Jake nodded and walked over to the science station. Dr. Amanda Foster was there, working on something that would change everything. She had created what she called the Adaptive Combat Intelligence. It was an AI system that could learn from every battle and get smarter each time it fought. "How is our electronic brain doing, Amanda?" Jake asked. Amanda looked up from her screen. Her eyes were bright with excitement. "It's incredible, Captain. The AI can watch enemy ships fight and figure out their weak spots in seconds. It can predict what they will do next and find ways to beat them. No other race in the galaxy has anything like this." Jake smiled. That was exactly what he wanted to hear. Other alien races used computers too, but their machines could only follow pre-programmed instructions. They fought the same way every time. But humans had built something different. They had created a machine that could think like a human. It could be creative, unpredictable, and most importantly, it could learn. The bridge door opened and Ambassador Chung Wei walked in. The older man looked tired but satisfied. He had spent months negotiating with the Federation Council to get permission for this ship. The aliens had not made it easy. "Captain Morrison," Sean said, "I just received word from the Federation. They have approved our first mission. We are to patrol the Helix Nebula and keep the peace in that sector." Jake raised an eyebrow. The Helix Nebula was known for pirate attacks and smuggling operations. It was not an easy assignment. "They want to test us right away, don't they?" Sean nodded. "The Federation Council thinks that one human ship, no matter how advanced, cannot possibly threaten the established order. They see us as just another junior race trying to prove ourselves." Dr. Foster looked up from her station. "They have no idea what they're dealing with, do they?" "No," Sean replied. "And perhaps that's for the best. Let them underestimate us. Let them think we are just another species with one decent warship." Jake walked back to the captain's chair and sat down. The Sovereign was unlike any ship ever built. It used stolen Zephyrian shield technology that could absorb massive amounts of energy. It had reverse-engineered Kithaeron weapons that could punch through the strongest armor. But most importantly, it had something no other ship possessed: human creativity combined with artificial intelligence. Lieutenant Commander Rick Hayes stood at the weapons station. He was young but skilled, and he understood the Sovereign's capabilities better than anyone except Lisa and Amanda. "Captain, all weapon systems are online and ready. The quantum torpedoes are loaded, and the pulse cannons are charged." "Good," Jake said. "Lisa, how long until we can jump to the Helix Nebula?" "The quantum drive is ready now, Captain. We can leave whenever you give the order." Jake looked around the bridge one more time. His crew was ready. The ship was ready. But more than that, humanity was ready. For too long, humans had been seen as the newcomers in galactic society. They were tolerated, but not respected. Other races had technologies that were thousands of years old. They had vast fleets and ancient alliances, but humans had something else. They had the ability to adapt and overcome. They could take existing technology and make it better. They could find solutions that others had never considered. And now, they had put all of that creativity into one ship. The Sovereign was more than just a warship. It was a statement. It was proof that humans belonged in the galaxy, not as junior partners, but as equals. Or perhaps as something more. "All stations, prepare for quantum jump," Jake announced. "We're going to the Helix Nebula." The crew moved. Quickly and efficiently. Lisa powered up the quantum drive, sending energy coursing through the ship's systems. Amanda activated the adaptive combat intelligence, and Jake could almost feel the AI beginning to analyze everything around them. Rick armed the weapon systems, just in case they ran into trouble right away. "Jump in 10 seconds, Lisa announced. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, jump. The stars outside the viewing window suddenly stretched into lines of light. The Sovereign disappeared from Earth's solar system and reappeared near the Helix Nebula in the blink of an eye. The quantum drive had worked perfectly, covering a distance that would take other ships weeks to travel. "Jump complete," Lisa reported. "All systems normal." Jake stood up and looked out at the colorful gases of the nebula. Somewhere in there, pirates and smugglers were probably attacking innocent people. The Federation had sent them here to prove themselves. But Jake knew this was about more than just one patrol mission dot. This was about showing the galaxy that humanity was not going to be pushed around anymore. The Sovereign was just the beginning. If this ship succeeded, if it proved that human technology could compete with anything the galaxy had to offer, then more ships would follow. "Take us into the nebula," Jake ordered. "Let's show them what humans can do." The Sovereign moved forward into the swirling gases of the Helix Nebula. Behind them, Earth was already building more ships. Ahead of them, the galaxy was about to learn that humans were not just another species to be managed and controlled. The age of human dominance was about to begin, and it started with one ship and one crew willing to prove that humanity belonged among the stars. The Sovereign had been patrolling the Helix Nebula for 3 days when the distress signal came in. Captain Jake Morrison was in his quarters reviewing reports when the alarm sounded throughout the ship. He rushed to the bridge where Lieutenant Commander Rick Hayes was already at his station. "Captain, we're receiving an emergency transmission from a civilian convoy," Rick reported. "They're under attack by Drakmari raiders about 20 minutes away at maximum speed." Jake felt his blood run cold. The Drakmari were known throughout the galaxy as the fiercest warriors anyone had ever encountered. Their ships were fast, their weapons were deadly, and they never showed mercy to their enemies. Most importantly, they had never been defeated in open combat by any single ship. "How many ships are we talking about?" Jake asked as he took his seat in the captain's chair. "Sensors show 12 Drakmari battle cruisers attacking a convoy of 6 civilian transports," Rick replied. "The civilians don't stand a chance." Dr. Amanda Foster looked up from her science station. "Captain, this would be the perfect test for our adaptive combat intelligence. The AI has been studying Drakmari battle tactics from our databases, but it has never faced them in real combat." Chief Engineer Lisa Parker activated the quantum drive systems. "We can be there in 15 minutes if we push the engines hard." Jake made his decision quickly. "Do it. All hands, battle stations. We're going to save that convoy." The Sovereign jumped through space faster than any ship the Drakmari had ever seen. When they arrived at the battle zone, Jake could see the civilian ships trying desperately to escape, while the Drakmari vessels surrounded them like wolves hunting sheep. Open a channel to the Drakmari fleet. Jake ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of a Drakmari commander. The alien's skin was dark red and covered in battle scars. His eyes were yellow and filled with rage. "I am commander." "Vrak of the Drakmari warrior fleet," the alien growled. "This is our hunt. Leave now or die with these weaklings." Jake stood up and looked directly at the screen. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Sovereign. You will stop your attack on those civilian ships immediately and withdraw from this area." Commander Vrak laughed, a sound like metal scraping against stone. "One human ship against 12 Drakmari battle cruisers? You are either very brave or very stupid. We have never lost a battle, human. We will destroy you and then continue our hunt." The transmission ended, and the Drakmari ships immediately began moving toward the Sovereign. Jake had expected this. The Drakmari were proud warriors who would never back down from a fight, even against unknown enemies. "Amanda, activate the adaptive combat intelligence," Jake ordered. "Let's see what our electronic brain can do." Dr. Foster's fingers flew across her controls. "AI is online and analyzing enemy formations. It's already identifying weak points in their attack pattern." The Sovereign's AI began working faster than any human mind could follow. It watched the Drakmari ships move and immediately understood their tactics. The aliens were using a formation that had worked for them for hundreds of years. They would surround their enemy and attack from all sides at once. But the AI saw something the Drakmari did not expect. It noticed that their formation had a weakness. When they surrounded a target, they created blind spots where their own ships would block each other's weapons. "Rick, the AI is sending targeting data to your station," Amanda announced. "It wants you to fire quantum torpedoes at specific coordinates." Lieutenant Commander Hayes looked at his screen in amazement. "These coordinates don't match any of the enemy ships. The AI wants me to fire at empty space." "Trust it," Jake said. "Fire when ready." The Sovereign launched 6 quantum torpedoes into what appeared to be empty space. But the AI had calculated exactly where the Drakmari ships would be when the torpedoes arrived. The weapons phased through the nebula's electromagnetic fields and struck 3 enemy ships before they could react. Commander Vrak's voice came over the communication system, filled with shock and anger. "Impossible. How did you hit us? Our formation is perfect." But the Sovereign was just getting started. The AI had learned from the first attack and was already planning the next one. It began using the nebula itself as a weapon, directing the ship's pulse cannons to hit pockets of gas that would explode and damage nearby enemy vessels. Lisa Parker watched her engineering displays in amazement. "Captain, the AI is controlling our quantum drive in ways I never imagined. It's making micro-jumps during the battle, appearing and disappearing faster than the enemy can track." The Sovereign suddenly vanished from the middle of the Drakmari formation and reappeared behind their largest ship. The AI had calculated the exact moment when the enemy's sensors would be confused by the nebula's interference. "Fire all weapons," Jake ordered. The Sovereign's weapons hit the Drakmari flagship from behind, where its shields were weakest. The massive alien ship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the entire nebula. Commander Vrak was now screaming with rage. "All ships, concentrate fire on the human vessel. Destroy it now." But the remaining Drakmari ships could not hit what they could not predict. The Sovereign's AI was now fighting in a way that no alien had ever seen before. It was using the nebulas, gases to hide, striking from impossible angles, and always staying one step ahead of the enemy. The AI had learned something important about the Drakmari. They were excellent warriors, but they were also predictable. They followed the same battle plans that had worked for centuries. They could not adapt to new tactics quickly enough. Within 30 minutes, 8 of the 12 Drakmari ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining 4 vessels were trying to escape, but the Sovereign was faster. The AI had figured out their retreat patterns and was already moving to intercept them. "Captain," Rick reported, "the AI is suggesting we let some of them escape." Jake was surprised. "Why?" Dr. Foster looked up from her station. "The AI wants other Drakmari to hear about this battle. It wants them to know that humans can defeat their greatest warriors." Jake smiled. The AI was thinking like a human now, understanding that sometimes the psychological effect of a victory was more important than completely destroying the enemy. "Let them go," Jake ordered, "but make sure they know who beat them." The Sovereign moved away from the battle zone and toward the civilian convoy. The 6 transport ships were still there, their crews watching in amazement as one human warship had defeated the most feared raiders in the galaxy. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Sovereign," Jake announced on an open channel. "The Drakmari have been defeated. You are safe to continue your journey." The response came immediately from the lead transport ship. "Captain Morrison, this is impossible. No one defeats the Drakmari in open combat." "How did you do it?" Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. Lisa was grinning as she checked the ship's systems. Amanda was already analyzing the battle data. Rick was preparing a report for Federation Command. "We're human," Jake replied simply. "We adapt." As the Sovereign prepared to leave the area, Jake knew that this battle would change everything. Word would spread quickly through the galaxy that humans had defeated the Drakmari. Other races would want to know how it was possible. The Federation Council would receive reports that would make them very nervous. They had allowed humans to build one ship, thinking it would not threaten the established order. But the Sovereign had just proven that human technology and tactics could overcome enemies that others considered unbeatable. Jake sat back in his captain's chair and smiled. This was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not just another species to be tolerated. They were a force that could change the balance of power among the stars. Word of the Sovereign's victory over the Drakmari spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Captain Jake Morrison found himself receiving messages from colonies, trading posts, and even small governments asking for human protection. The ship that the Federation had allowed as a token gesture was suddenly becoming the most requested vessel in 3 entire sectors. Jake stood in the ship's conference room with his senior officers, looking at a holographic display showing their patrol routes. Dr. Amanda Foster was explaining how the adaptive combat intelligence had continued to evolve since the Drakmari battle. "The AI has been analyzing every piece of data we collect," Amanda said. "It's not just learning about weapons and tactics anymore. It's studying trade routes, political tensions, even weather patterns. It's becoming something much more than a combat system." Chief Engineer Lisa Parker nodded from her seat. "The ship's systems are operating at 127% of their original specifications. The AI is finding ways to improve our efficiency that I never thought possible." Lieutenant Commander Rick Hayes brought up a new display showing their recent missions. "In the past month, we've stopped pirate attacks on 7 different colonies, prevented a war between 2 mining companies, and rescued a diplomatic mission from hostile territory. Every time we fight, we win faster than before." Jake looked at the mission reports with a mixture of pride and concern. The Sovereign was becoming too successful, too famous. They were drawing attention from powers that preferred to stay in the shadows. "Sir," Rick continued, "we're receiving another distress call. This one is from Kepler Station. They're under attack by the Red Comet pirates." Jake had heard of the Red Comet pirates. They were a large fleet that had been terrorizing the outer colonies for years. No single ship had ever tried to face them alone. "How many ships?" Jake asked. 37 combat vessels, sir." They're using the asteroid field around Kepler Station as cover. Dr. Foster looked up from her station. Captain, this could be the perfect test for the AI's new capabilities. It's been developing some very interesting ideas about using environmental factors in combat. Jake made his decision. Set course for Kepler Station. Maximum speed. The Sovereign jumped through space toward the battle zone. When they arrived, Jake could see the massive pirate fleet surrounding the mining station. The pirates were using traditional tactics, staying hidden behind asteroids and taking shots at the stations. Defenses. Open a channel to the lead pirate ship, Jake ordered. The main screen showed a scarred man with metal implants covering half his face. This was Captain Razor, the leader of the Red Comet Pirates. Well, Razor said with a cruel smile. The famous human ship. I've heard stories about you, Captain Morrison. They say you defeated the Drakmari. That's correct, Jake replied. And now I'm ordering you to leave this system immediately. Razor laughed. You beat 12 Drakmari ships, human. I have 37 vessels. Do you really think you can win? Against those odds? We won't know until we try. Jake said calmly. The transmission ended, and the pirate fleet immediately began moving toward the Sovereign. But something strange happened. Instead of running away from the asteroid field, the Sovereign moved deeper into it. Captain, Rick said nervously, the AI is taking us right into the middle of the asteroids. That's exactly where the pirates want us. Trust it, Jake replied. Let's see what our electronic brain has learned. The Sovereign's AI had indeed learned something new. It had studied the asteroid field and calculated the exact gravitational forces affecting each rock. It had also analyzed the pirates' movement patterns and found something interesting. The pirates were using the asteroids as shields, but they were also trapped by them. They had to move carefully to avoid collisions, which made their movements predictable. The AI had found a way to use this against them. All weapons target the asteroids at coordinates the AI is providing, Jake ordered. Rick looked at his targeting. Display in confusion. Sir, these coordinates are for empty space between the asteroids. Fire anyway. The Sovereign's quantum torpedoes struck specific points in the asteroid field. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the gravitational balance of the entire field began to shift. Asteroids started moving, colliding with each other, creating a chain reaction of destruction. Impossible. Captain Razor screamed. Over the communication system. You're destroying the entire field. But the AI had calculated everything perfectly. The asteroids were moving in exactly the pattern it had predicted. The pirate ships, trapped in their hiding spots, could not escape fast enough. Massive rocks crashed into vessel after vessel, destroying them instantly. Lisa Parker watched her. Engineering displays in amazement. Captain, the AI is using the ship's tractor beams to guide specific asteroids toward enemy ships. It's turning the entire field into a weapon. The Sovereign moved through the chaos like a dancer, always staying exactly where the AI calculated it would be safe. The ship's quantum drive made tiny jumps, moving from safe spot to safe spot as the asteroid field tore itself apart. Within an hour, 23 pirate ships had been destroyed by flying rocks. The remaining vessels were trying desperately to escape, but the AI had predicted their retreat routes. The Sovereign was already waiting for them. This is Captain Razor, came a panicked transmission. We surrender. Call off your asteroid attack. The asteroids are beyond my control now, Jake replied. You should have left when I asked nicely. The surviving pirates fled the system as fast as their damaged ships could carry them. The asteroid field slowly settled into a new configuration, and Kepler Station was safe. Captain Morrison, came a transmission from the station. How did you do that? We've never seen anything like it. Jake looked at Amanda, who was studying the battle data with fascination. Our AI has learned to think in ways that surprise even us. It saw the asteroid field not as an obstacle, but as ammunition. After the battle, Jake called a meeting with his senior officers. They needed to discuss what was happening to their ship and their mission. "The AI is evolving faster than we expected," Amanda reported. "It's not just learning from our battles anymore. It's creating completely new tactics that have never been tried before. The ship's systems are adapting too," Lisa added. "The quantum drive is now capable of jumps so precise that we can appear inside an enemy formation without damaging our own ship." Rick brought up a concerning report. "Sir, we're receiving messages from Federation Command." "They want detailed reports about our recent victories. They're asking a lot of questions about our capabilities." Jake nodded. He had been expecting this. "They're getting nervous. We were supposed to be just another patrol ship, but we're becoming something much more." "What do you want to do, Captain?" Amanda asked. Jake looked out at the stars through the conference room window. The Sovereign was no longer just a ship. It was becoming a symbol of human potential. Other races were starting to realize that humans might be more dangerous than anyone had imagined. "We keep doing our job," Jake said finally. "We protect the innocent and maintain the peace. But we also need to be ready for the possibility that our own allies might decide we're too powerful to be allowed to continue." Unknown to the crew of the Sovereign, their victories were indeed causing alarm in the highest levels of galactic government. The Federation Council was holding emergency meetings to discuss what they called the human problem. Other races were beginning to form secret alliances, all focused on one goal: stopping the Sovereign before it could prove that humans were superior to everyone else. The galaxy was watching, and they were afraid. The emergency message from Admiral Sarah Miller arrived while the Sovereign was docked at Frontier Station for routine maintenance. Captain Jake Morrison read the classified transmission in his quarters, and his face grew dark with concern. The Federation Council had made their decision about humanity's warship. Jake called his senior officers to the conference room immediately. Chief Engineer Lisa Parker, Dr. Amanda Foster, and Lieutenant Commander Rick Hayes gathered around the table. As Jake displayed the official message, "Orders from Federation Command," Jake said grimly. "We are to return to Earth immediately and surrender the Sovereign for what they call inspection and modification. They claim we violate something called the Galactic Balance Doctrine." Rick looked confused. "I've never heard of this doctrine, Captain." "Neither had I," Jake replied. "But apparently it's an ancient agreement that prevents any single species from achieving what they call overwhelming military superiority." Dr. Foster was already working on her personal tablet. "I'm accessing the Galactic Legal Database now. The Galactic Balance Doctrine was created over 1,000 years ago, after the Vegan Empire almost conquered 3 entire sectors. It gives the Federation Council the right to limit any military technology that might threaten galactic stability." "So they're saying we're too powerful?" Lisa asked. "That's exactly what they're saying," Jake confirmed. "The message makes it clear that if we don't comply, humanity will face economic sanctions and possible military action from the combined galactic powers." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Sovereign had been too successful. Their victories had made the other races nervous, and now they wanted to take away humanity's greatest achievement. "Captain," Amanda said quietly, "there's something else you need to know. The AI has been monitoring galactic communications for weeks. It's detected some very disturbing patterns." Jake leaned forward. "What kind of patterns?" "Military buildups around Earth. The Altarian Syndicate has moved 3 battle fleets to systems near our home world. The vegan trade empire has increased their military presence in the Sol sector by 400%. Even the Andromedans have been sending scout ships to watch our colonies. Rick's face went pale. They're preparing for war. It gets worse, Amanda continued. The AI has intercepted coded messages between various Federation members. They're not planning to modify the Sovereign, Captain. They're planning to destroy it. And if necessary, they're prepared to destroy Earth's entire space fleet to prevent humans from building more ships like this one. Jake stood up and walked to the window overlooking the docking bay. He could see the Sovereign's massive hull stretching out below them. 3 years of human ingenuity and determination had created this ship. Now the galaxy wanted to take it away because it proved that humans could compete with anyone. What does the AI recommend? Jake asked. Amanda hesitated. It wants to know if we're prepared to fight the entire galaxy if necessary. Jake turned back to his officers. And what do you think? Lisa spoke first. Captain, this ship represents everything humanity has worked for. We've proven that we can defend ourselves and protect others. If we give up the Sovereign, we'll never get another chance. I agree, Rick added. The galaxy has been underestimating us since we first made contact. Maybe it's time to show them that we won't be pushed around. Amanda looked at her tablet again. The AI has been running calculations, Captain. It believes that if we're forced to fight, we can win. But it would mean going to war with most of the known galaxy. Jake sat back down and thought carefully. The Federation had allowed humans to build one ship, thinking it would keep them quiet and satisfied. But the Sovereign had proven that humans were not content to be junior partners in galactic civilization. Open a channel to Admiral Miller on Earth, Jake ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing the Admiral's worried face. Sarah Miller had been Jake's commanding officer for years, and he respected her judgment. Admiral, we received your message about returning to Earth. Jake, I know what you're thinking, but you have to be careful. The Federation is serious about this. They've made it clear that if the Sovereign doesn't return voluntarily, they'll take military action. And you believe they're really planning to just inspect and modify our ship? Admiral Miller's expression told Jake everything he needed to know. I believe they're scared, Jake. The Sovereign has changed everything. Other races are starting to ask questions about human capabilities. Some are even requesting human protection for their colonies. So what do you recommend? Officially, I have to order you to return to Earth immediately. Unofficially, I think you should do whatever you believe is best for humanity's future. Jake understood. The Admiral was giving him permission to make his own decision, even if it meant disobeying direct orders. Admiral, what's the status of our shipbuilding program? 3 more ships are under construction, but they won't be finished for at least 18 months. If something happens to the Sovereign, we'll have no way to defend ourselves. After the transmission ended, Jake looked around the conference room at his crew. These people had given their lives to making the Sovereign the most powerful ship in the galaxy. Now they had to decide whether to surrender their achievement or fight for it. Amanda, can the AI predict what will happen if we refuse to return? To Earth? Dr. Foster worked at her station for several minutes before answering. The AI calculates a 73% chance that Federation forces will try to intercept us. It also predicts that several alien races will use this as an excuse to attack Earth directly. And if we fight? The AI believes we can defeat any single fleet sent against us. But if multiple races combine their forces, the odds become much more difficult. Jake stood up and looked at each of his officers. I'm going to ask you all to make a choice. We can follow orders, return to Earth, and watch the Federation dismantle everything we've built. Or we can show the galaxy that humans will not be controlled or intimidated. What would that mean exactly? Lisa asked. It means we continue our mission. We protect the innocent, maintain the peace, and prove that the Sovereign is not a threat to galactic stability. But we also make it clear that we won't be shut down by politicians who are afraid of human success. Rick nodded slowly. You're talking about defying the Federation Council directly. I'm talking about standing up for humanity's right to exist as equals in this galaxy, Jake replied. The crew exchanged glances. They all knew that this decision would change their lives forever. If they chose to fight, they would be labeled as renegades and rebels. But if they surrendered, they would be giving up humanity's best chance for a real future among the stars. All in favor of continuing our mission? Jake asked. 3 hands went up immediately. The decision was unanimous. Then it's settled. We're going to show the galaxy that humans don't surrender. We adapt, we overcome, and we survive. Unknown 2. The crew of the Sovereign. Their decision had already been predicted by intelligence agencies across the galaxy. Military leaders were finalizing plans for what they called Operation Shutdown. The largest combined fleet in galactic history was being assembled with one goal: destroy the human warship before it could prove that humanity was ready to challenge the established order. The final battle was about to begin. The combined fleet appeared near the galactic core like a wall of metal and death. 312 ships from 12 different species, all united by one purpose: destroy the USS Sovereign. Captain Jake Morrison stood on his bridge, watching the massive formation on the main screen. He had never seen so many warships in one place. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Rick Hayes reported, "We're receiving a transmission from the fleet commander. Put it through." The screen showed Admiral Corax of the Altarian Syndicate, a being whose blue skin was marked with the scars of 100 battles. Behind him, Jake could see representatives from every major power in the galaxy. "Captain Morrison," Corax said formally, "I am speaking for the combined forces of the Galactic Federation. You have been declared a threat to galactic stability. Surrender your vessel immediately, or we will destroy you." Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. Chief Engineer Lisa Parker was ready at her station. Dr. Amanda Foster had the adaptive combat intelligence running at maximum capacity. Rick had all weapon systems online and waiting. "Admiral Corax," Jake replied, "I want to make sure I understand this correctly. You've brought over 300 ships to fight one human vessel? Your ship has proven to be abnormally powerful. We cannot allow such a weapon to exist without proper control." Jake smiled grimly. "And what makes you think you can control us?" "Simple mathematics, Captain. 300 ships against one. Even human technology cannot overcome those odds." "You're probably right about the mathematics," Jake said. "But you're wrong about humans. We don't surrender. We adapt." The transmission ended, and Jake turned to his crew. "Well, people, this is it? Any regrets?" Lisa grinned from her engineering station. "Only that we didn't build this ship bigger." Amanda looked up from her science console. "The AI is analyzing the enemy formation now. It's already found 17 critical weaknesses in their battle plan." "What kind of weaknesses?" Jake asked. "The fleet is too large," Amanda explained. "They can't coordinate effectively with that many ships. The AI calculates that they'll spend as much time avoiding collisions with each other as they will fighting us. Also," Lisa added, "our quantum drive gives us a massive advantage. We can be anywhere in the battle zone instantly, but they have to move in formation to avoid hitting each other." Jake nodded and sat down in his captain's chair. "All right, let's show them what one human ship can do. Begin evasive maneuvers." The Sovereign disappeared from the center of the enemy formation and reappeared behind their largest battleship. The AI had calculated the exact moment when the ship's sensors would be overwhelmed by the presence of so many other vessels. "Fire all weapons," Jake ordered. The Sovereign's quantum torpedoes and pulse cannons struck the alien battleship from behind, destroying it in seconds. Before the other ships could react, the Sovereign vanished again, reappearing on the opposite side of the formation. Impossible. Admiral Corax screamed over the communication system. All ships concentrate fire on the human vessel. But the Sovereign was already gone, having jumped to a new position. The AI was now controlling the battle in ways that no one had ever imagined. It was using the enemy's own size against them, appearing in positions where the alien ships couldn't fire without hitting their own allies. "Captain," Rick reported, "the AI is targeting their command ships first. It's trying to disrupt their coordination." Jake watched as the Sovereign systematically destroyed one command vessel after another. Each time a ship exploded, the remaining fleet became more confused and less organized. The AI had studied galactic military tactics for months, and it knew exactly how to create chaos in large formations. "They're starting to panic," Amanda observed. "The AI is predicting that they'll break formation within the next 10 minutes. The Sovereign continued its deadly dance through the enemy fleet. The ship would appear, destroy one or two vessels, then vanish before return fire could reach it. The AI had learned to use every advantage that human technology provided. "Lisa, how are our systems holding up?" Jake asked. "All systems operating perfectly, Captain. The quantum drive is actually running more efficiently than ever. The AI has optimized our power distribution beyond anything I thought possible." The battle had been going on for over an hour, and the results were becoming clear. 73 alien ships had been destroyed, while the Sovereign hadn't even been hit. The combined fleet was starting to break apart as individual captains began to panic. "This is Admiral Corax to all ships," came a desperate transmission. "We form battle lines. Do not break formation." But it was too late. The AI had identified the psychological breaking point of the enemy fleet, and it had pushed them past it. Ships were scattering in all directions, trying to escape the phantom vessel that could appear anywhere at any time. "Captain," Rick announced, "the AI wants to try something new. It's requesting permission to demonstrate what it calls total battlefield control." Jake raised an eyebrow. "What does that mean?" Amanda looked at her screen in amazement. "The AI has calculated the exact position and movement of every remaining ship in the fleet. It wants to destroy them all in one coordinated attack. How is that possible?" "Quantum torpedoes with delayed detonation," Lisa explained. "The AI can place explosives throughout the battlefield, then detonate them all at the same moment when the enemy ships reach the predicted coordinates." Jake considered this for a moment. It would be a devastating display of power, but it would also send a clear message to the galaxy about human capabilities. "Do it," Jake ordered. The Sovereign began moving through the scattered fleet at incredible speed, firing quantum torpedoes that seemed to miss their targets completely. The alien captains thought the human ship was finally making mistakes, but they were wrong. "Torpedoes are in position," Rick reported. "The AI is ready to detonate. All ships will be destroyed simultaneously," Amanda added. "The psychological impact will be enormous." Jake looked at the main screen, where the remaining alien ships were still trying to reorganize their formation. In 30 seconds, they would all be dead, and the galaxy would know that humans could not be defeated by superior numbers. "Detonate," Jake ordered. The space around the galactic core lit up like a new star as 847 quantum torpedoes exploded at exactly the same moment. Every remaining ship in the combined fleet was destroyed instantly, where moments before there had been the largest military formation in galactic history. Now there was only debris and silence. The communication channels were filled with shocked voices from across the galaxy. The battle had been broadcast live, and billions of beings had watched one human ship destroy an entire fleet. "This is Captain Jake Morrison, of the USS Sovereign, Jake announced on all frequencies. Let this be a lesson to anyone who thinks they can intimidate humanity. We are not your subjects. We are not your inferiors. We are humans, and we will not be controlled. The response came quickly from the Federation Council on the capital world. The transmission showed 12 alien leaders, all looking shocked and defeated. Captain Morrison, said the vegan representative, we wish to negotiate new terms for humanity's membership in the Federation. Jake smiled. I'm listening. The Galactic Balance Doctrine will be revised to acknowledge special circumstances. Humanity will be granted full membership status with permanent seats on the Security Council. The Sovereign will be allowed to continue its mission without interference. And what about Earth's shipbuilding program? Humanity will be permitted to construct additional vessels as needed for defensive purposes. Jake looked around his bridge. At his crew, they had done it. They had forced the entire galaxy to accept humans as equals. Those terms are acceptable, Jake replied. But understand this. If anyone ever threatens humanity again, they will face not just the Sovereign, but an entire fleet of ships just like it. The Federation representatives nodded quickly. They had learned their lesson. In the days that followed, the galaxy began to change. Species that had ignored humanity for decades suddenly wanted to establish trade agreements and mutual defense. Pax. The Sovereign became the most famous ship in known space, and Captain Jake Morrison became a legend. Dr. Amanda Foster continued to develop the adaptive combat intelligence, which had proven itself to be the most advanced military system ever created. Chief Engineer Lisa Parker led the teams building new human warships, each one incorporating lessons learned from the Sovereign's incredible journey. Lieutenant Commander Rick Hayes was promoted to captain of the second human warship, the USS Defiant. He carried with him everything he had learned about fighting against impossible odds. But perhaps most importantly, the galaxy had learned to respect humanity. The species that had been dismissed as newcomers had proven that they could not only compete with the established powers, but dominate them when necessary. The Sovereign continued its patrols, now accompanied by a growing fleet of sister ships. Wherever they went, they carried the message that had changed galactic civilization forever. Humans don't surrender. Humans don't back down. And humans will fight for their place among the stars. The age of human dominance had begun, and it started. With one ship, one crew, and one simple truth. Never underestimate the creativity and determination of the human spirit. The galaxy had tried to shut down the human warship, but in doing so,